can call it what you want. You can call it kismet, you can call it karma, you can call it coincidence. But the writer Michael Losier says that when good things come our way, it's much more than any of those things. It's called the law of attraction. And his book is just filled with advice on how to make it all work for you. This is Michael Losier. So, what actually is, I understand the sentence law of attraction, but what is it really?
Well, I have an interpretation or a definition, and it states, whatever you give your attention, energy, and focus to, law of attraction will give you more of it.
Right.
Whether wanted or unwanted.
Right, so good, bad.
Good, bad.
Yes, yin, yang.
It doesn't decide whether it's good or bad for you, it's obedient.
Right.
Yes.
So did you coin this phrase?
No, law of attraction, I have some documentation since 1908 where the term was used, but in my research there's not very much written about law of attraction, so for the last 7 years I've been studying, working with thousands of people all over the world and getting lots of evidence around law of attraction, and have developed some processes and tools and formulas so people can start attracting what they do want, and most importantly, stop attracting what they don't want in their lives.
Is this sort of an offshoot, maybe, of power of positive thinking, which I think was formulated in the early part of the century as well?
Yes. Well, the positive power of thinking is very close to that. However, a positive thought can have a negative feeling.
Right. And how does that work? What do you mean?
Well, law of attraction responds to whatever the feeling is or whatever the vibe is that we have.
Right.
So if you're in a cranky or angry mood or disappointed or lonely, you're kind of emitting a negative vibration or a negative vibe.
Yes.
And the word vibe, sometimes you walk by a building and say, oh, I get a weird or creepy vibe from that building, or I get weird vibes from him.
Yeah.
So whenever you're in a bad mood, you kind of put off or emanate a negative vibe or negative vibration. And when you're in a happy mood and joyous and love and abundant, you put off a positive vibration.
It's catchy.
It's catchy.
Either way, isn't it?
Yes, it's contagious. So the negative vibration, as you're offering it or putting it out there, you're not really doing it on purpose, but law of attraction is a law, it's obedient, and what it does, it responds to whatever it is that you're offering vibrationally, even if you don't mean to. So back to your point about the power of positive thinking, if I have a positive thought, it can have a negative feeling.
Yes.
So for example, people that are challenged with heavier bodies might say a positive statement could be, I have a happy, slender body. But when they say that, they either get a feeling or a thought or a little voice in their head. It isn't true. And if it's not true, it has a negative vibration. And guess what? Law of attraction is responding to the negative vibration as opposed to the positive affirmation that we have.
Okay, so now what do I do? Get a mood ring? I don't know. What? I don't know what to do now that I'm having all these positive thoughts, or these not positive thoughts, but about good things. I don't know.
Well, we do have a meter within us that helps us measure about whether it's a positive or negative thought, and it's called our feelings.
Yes.
So you can tell by how you feel about things. So if you say that you have a happy, slender body, you can feel inside that you don't. Now you know that you're offering a negative vibration. Right.
Okay, so now how do I get a good vibration, to coin an old phrase?
Well, that is quite simple, and it's so easy. Some people try to look for the difficultness in that, but it's simply by stating, so what do I want? Or how do I want it to be? I'll give you an example. If I say things like, oh, I don't want to be late for work, or I don't want this to be challenging, I just gave attention to what I didn't want.
The don't and the not wanting.
Yes, I just gave it attention, and law of attraction is obedient. It doesn't decide whether it's good or bad for me. It doesn't decide whether I want it or don't want it. It really responds to what I just said. So don't think of the CN Tower, and don't think of a cowboy hat.
That's all I can think of now.
That's all you can think of.
The CN Tower in a cowboy hat.
Yes. So by saying what you don't want, you just gave it attention. So when we're talking about our lives and how we want it to be, if we said, I don't want this to be difficult, I don't want this to be a challenge, I don't want to get hurt by this, I don't want to get late, well, guess what? We just gave attention to all those things, and law of attraction is obediently unfolding and orchestrating whatever needs to happen to bring all that to your life.
Okay, I'm driving down the road and I'm in the car and I know I'm going to be late.
Right.
So what do I do then?
Well, when you talk about you wanting to be late, you're giving that attention, energy, and focus.
I don't want to be late.
I know, but you're talking about it, and law of attraction is obediently... Well, no, I'm going to tell you in a second.
Okay.
Law of attraction will obediently...
You talk so fast that you're speeding me up, too.
Okay.
No, this is good.
Okay.
We'll both breathe. Okay.
Well, the important thing to learn is that law of attraction is obedient, and it will unfold and orchestrate events in your life to bring you whatever you give your attention to.
Right.
So when we say, oh, I don't want to run into her today, I completely want to avoid her today, she's the last person I want to see, so you take a back alley downtown and you're picking fruit out of a fruit stand, and guess who's standing beside you?
Her.
The same person you said you didn't want to meet up with. Law of attraction will unfold and orchestrate that. So when you catch yourself saying what you don't want, you simply need to say, so what do I want?
I like to be punctual.
So I like to be on time, I like to be punctual, I like to arrive early. And even though they're words, now we're starting to understand that these words have a vibration to them. They're not just words. Law of attraction, by the way, doesn't respond to the words. It responds to what you're feeling
yes.
or vibrating around
That provokes the words.
That's right.
All right.
And that's another reason why affirmations don't work for many people. When they say, my bank account is overflowing, which is a positive statement, you're actually emitting a negative vibration.
Because you know perfectly well that there's nothing there.
That's right.
All
And
right.
that's a negative vibration.
I'll be right back.
Thank you.
Losier. He is the author of Law of Attraction. He also goes all over the country, and I guess the States too, talking about his technique that he has developed, which is positive vibrations. Yes?
Yes.
Okay. I'm afraid to use any negatives because I don't know how to interpret all this. So you have to give me a lesson on what to get rid of first.
Okay, very good. Now, as soon as you hear yourself say the word don't, not, and no, ask yourself to remind yourself, so what do I want? And here's the beauty in that. As soon as you talk about what you don't want and you talk about what you do want, the words change, but you know what else changes? The vibration.
Right.
And now Law of Attraction is responding to this new vibration that you're offering. And the good news is you can't hold two vibrations at the same time.
Right.
So if you wake up in the morning and you kind of wake up a little cranky and then you stub your toe and you burn your toast and a bird poops on your car and the traffic's horrible and see how it just keeps multiplying and multiplying? Well, in the very moment that you catch yourself attracting negative things, negative people, negative events, the traffic's bad, then you say, what do I want? And then when you start to go on a little rampage about what you do want, the vibration changes, and you can't hold two vibrations at the same time.
I know this is true. And you know how I know this is true? You don't want to hear my story particularly, but I have... Apparently you're going to, though. I have parking karma.
Yes.
I always find a parking space, and everybody wants to go with me in the car because they never have to walk in the rain.
Yes. Well, I can hear it in your vibration.
Yes.
Right. And the same person might say, I hate going downtown because there's never a parking space. So what's different? What's different is what they're offering vibrationally, and Law of Attraction will unfold and orchestrate whatever needs to happen to have that parking space available for you for when you get downtown. It's the law. That's how it happens.
It is the law.
It is the law.
My mother used to call it the thing.
The thing.
Before you had the thing, Vicki. And I like imagine that there's going to be a space, and then there is.
Yes.
You can use that story if you want.
I will.
Tell me a good example of something that's happened to you.
Oh, my life is rich, full, and delicious using Law of Attraction more deliberately.
Yes.
Law of Attraction is already existing in our lives, whether we believe it or not, or understand it or not, or like it or not, it's happening. So the book, Law of Attraction, really teaches people how to do it deliberately. So 7 days ago, I met a woman in Vancouver over the telephone who bought my book at Banyan Bookstore.
Yeah.
She called me, said, I loved your book. We talked for a few minutes, and she...
They're getting married.
No.
Oh.
She I'm here as a result of my desire to be on the Vicki Gabereau show, and all that energy was unfolded through a woman I only met 7 days ago, and I just met her a half hour ago when she picked me up at the airport.
It's too cool, isn't it?
Yes, and my life is like that. Every day I have rich, full, delicious experiences that come to my life as a result of me giving the attention. Now, the key is when negative things happen to us, which they happen to me and everybody else, the key is to observe them briefly. In other words, if something negative happens to you and you email your friend Betty and you call everybody and you complain and you're negative all day about it, well, Law of Attraction doesn't know that you're emailing Betty. It doesn't know that you're telling somebody else. It doesn't know that you're gossiping or worrying. It's so obedient, it responds to your vibration while you're doing it. So the key is when you catch yourself having a negative vibration, is to observe it briefly. Say, okay.
Acknowledge it.
Acknowledge it. It's not to say you can't have the negative feelings, but reduce the length of time in which you observe them. Because Law of Attraction doesn't know if you're remembering, pretending, complaining,
of course,
worrying.
It's the truth that it knows, that it understands.
Yes.
So it's like a little magnet. What do most people want? Money?
Top three things are money, relationships, and careers. And I come from a background of working for the Ministry of Transportation and Highways in British Columbia.
So you had to have some power of positive thinking.
Yes, I did. And I created the first employee in the government to have a 4-day work week. Took a cut in pay because I knew that it was, and I used Law of Attraction to attract whatever I wanted. For my client base, to start my coaching practice, to start teleclasses, which are classes held over the telephone with an international audience. And in most cases, I never had to pick up the phone.
Really?
I had 21 people help me with the book, and I never had to call one of them.
You know, what I think is most interesting is that it doesn't take 21 days to work. Like putting crap on your face to make you look younger. You know, it's none of that stuff. Or your teeth whiter or any of those things. All you have to do is decide you're not going to say don't, not, and no.
Right.
Like right now.
Right now.
If you can remember.
Now, there's appropriate times to do it. If it says no sugar at it, there's no sugar at it.
Yes.
If you say don't touch, then don't touch. But when you say stuff like, I don't want it to be difficult, well, here's what people say. I love this in business communication. Don't hesitate to contact me. This is not a scam.
Right.
Don't be fooled by the low price. You see how it brings attention to all the things that we didn't want?
Yes. Fooled?
Yes.
I must be a fool. He thinks I'm a fool.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it must be a challenge being a parent that, you know, don't touch, don't spill your milk, don't play ball in the house. If they could just simply say what they do want.
Play the ball outside.
Play ball outside, play your music lower. And what you can do is ask your unconscious mind to bring to your attention whenever you use the word don't, not, and no, to remind you to say, so what do you want?
Yes.
And in the very
just
moment...
stop there for 1 second and reconsider.
Yes. And ask yourself, is it appropriate that I use don't, not, and no? And if it isn't, reframe it. And in that very moment, you change the vibration, and you can't hold two vibrations at the same time.
Right.
Here's one more important point.
Okay.
If you've been negative, or somebody's been negative around relationships, or around money, or around their job, or their career for years, and they do some work around converting their vibration to what they don't want to what they do want. Law of attraction hasn't been keeping score about how long you've been negative.
Doesn't know that it's starting today.
It doesn't know. It said, oh, look at that. Vicki's vibrating something positive in this area. Let's give her more of that. It doesn't say, well, we have a record of her being quite negative for the last 10 years.
Therefore, she's going to have quite a few positive thoughts before she gets really good results.
Let's give her 10 years on the positive side.
And we'll see how she does.
Yes.
Anyway, this is an amusing and interesting book, and I thank you very much for coming. All right, Michael Losier, his book is called Law of Attraction, and you can find it about it at his website, which is Michael Losier, which is LOSIER.com, and it's in bookstores. So go get it. Go attract something.